So when we work with brands, we're not asking for more offers. We actually think you should do less offers, use them in a smarter manner.
Before we jump into today's episode, I have to talk to you about the biggest affiliate marketing event on the East Coast. That is Affiliate Summit East. It is going down in New York City at the Marriott Marquis, August 4th through the 5th. This is the event that you need to be at if you're an affiliate, if you're a publisher, if you're driving traffic, whatever it is. If you're in the affiliate space, this is the event that you need to be at. I will be there. We'll be bringing the Boost Show there, doing live interviews. You're going to meet so many incredible people. The next person that's going to help you to grow your business. And right now, listeners of the Boost Podcast can get a big discount of 15% off of your ticket. Just use the code BOOST15. That's BOOST15. I cannot wait to see you in New York at Affiliate Summit East. Hey guys, welcome back to the Boost presented by Affiliate Summit, Grommet, and Giddy Up. I'm your host, Greg Rollett, and we are here live from the showroom floor at Affiliate Summit West, and I am hanging out Harry Dixon, CEO of Checkmate, and we're going to talk all about data and discounts and conversion, and happy to have you here, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Yeah, stoked to be here.
Let's start off. Let's get everybody familiar with what Checkmate is. What do you guys do so that we can set some context for the conversation?
Yeah, for sure. So Checkmate, we're a shopping platform. We help brands convert more shoppers by using data. So we've created a network of services or channels, most famously our app, an extension, where we've onboarded millions of shoppers. We've hit number one in the App Store a few times, but we use data to help convert them. So right content, right time, right surface is what we, talk about internally.
Yeah. So let's dig into data because I think brands understand that data is important.
Yes.
First party data is really important in 2025. What do brands need to understand about data so that they can leverage it in the right way? Because I think they inherently know, like, hey, I need data, but they don't know what to do with it or how to execute on it or how to trigger something because of data.
Yeah. So the way that we build Checkmate, and maybe this is a longer answer, like there's a lot of changes that are happening in the market. So we built Checkmate really around the data lens of IDFA blocking. So that's Apple's new implementation to stop browsing journeys. There's, cookies going away potentially. There's just been a whole myriad of hindrances to marketing channels. And so brands owning their data has become increasingly important. And that's what we truly believe at Checkmate. And so you can do a lot of things. There's great people that I've met here at ASW that have conversion engines on site. So think about widgets and things. At Checkmate, we think about giving the brand ownership to first party data, which means consumer data. And then we want to essentially help them leverage that on our surfaces. But when we think about what is interesting, how to collect it and then use it, because I think that's the bridge you're trying to draw, which is we use some proprietary tech that is, we get access to our users' inbox. So we're able to figure out really granularly who the shopper is. So we think about identity as the first pillar of Checkmate.
Okay.
The second is high intent. So are they actually interested in that product? And that could be drawn from things like, are they booked to a music festival? Are they going to Europe this summer? There's so many things that might classify a sunglass brand or a swimwear to another, ski wear. So we use those intent signals and then we generate campaigns on our surfaces. So the way that we think about working with brands today is really set and forget. We can use the data, give it back to them in reports, but we want to use that to convert on our services through unique codes. And so to kind of snowball into that, we're not trying to ask for more discounts. We're actually anti-discounts. We're about making them smarter, single use, more targeted.
Yeah. So you talked about two different kinds of data there. You had identity-based data, and then you have intent-based data. Anything else and anything you want to dive into those so brands can understand what is identity-based data?
Yes.
How do I use it? And then obviously intent is all right, did I actually intend to buy this product or was it just browsing? So talk about those two pieces and what they really mean.
Yeah, so we think about identity in, again, identifying and then intent. So there are two different types of signals. So identity is really matching a contactable way to a person. So that is where it might be an email, a phone number, a social handle. It's something that associates you to a channel. So it gives you the ability to be able to figure out who that person is, but more importantly, how to actually communicate with them. The intent is built around what are those trigger factors. And so trigger factors could be like the swimming example in the holidays, but intent could also be churned. So when we think about site traffic, there is incrementality, which is talked about in our industry a lot.
Yeah.
And so it's about well, where does the consideration window fall? And so there's a simple buying funnel that I kind of think is applicable to a lot of different businesses. Discovery leads to curation, curation, consideration to a purchase. Consideration can only happen when you're in that conversation.
Yeah.
And so that is usually on website. And so another high intent is like cart abandonment. And so, through Checkmate, we use our app extension to send push notifications for when we know you haven't checked out.
Yeah.
So that's like a high intent signal that isn't around, say, the bathers and travel journey, but that's another high intent moment.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of those triggers now, right? So we're collecting this data. We're starting to learn about, prospects, shoppers, consumers. What are some triggers that you're seeing really work to generate that conversion, right? So we talked about SMS, there's email, there's retargeting, there's so many different pieces. What are some triggers that you guys really see actually move the needle on the conversion side?
Yeah. So we work with thousands of brands and we have millions of customers, and it's actually interesting. It's not uniform. So personalization is like what underpins Checkmate holistically. It's our thematic reason why we built this platform when the space seemed, seemingly saturated. And we just think about personalization. So that's true with different brands that we know for some, habitual products, like we'll call makeup, that like you buy at a regular cadence compared to like a considered purchase. They very much act differently. So I would say trigger moments it can be from just starting a journey. Like we know when you are looking for you might go on airline's website. That is like when you're starting to think about maybe more clothing and things like that. But when you're like thinking about more like refreshing makeup and stuff, it might be a different user behavior. But honestly, it's a bit of a cop-out answer. There's it's different by brand. It's different. It's just...
Yeah, so maybe do you have an example of one or two of them that maybe we can explore?
Yeah, so ColourPop is a brand that we love and we work with. They're a makeup business. Their AOV is around $25.
Okay.
And so they do partnerships with like Barbie, Hot Wheels, they're kind of like a bit of a drop system. But their behavior different is to Billy Reid, which is a men's $1,000 jackets and jeans. And so what from a cart abandonment standpoint, because that's quite easy to digest.
Yeah.
It's very different. So high AOV, if you look at one thing and you're looking at it for an extended period of time, so there's two factors in there. One, you're looking to, it's the time factor. That is considered. You don't need to look at 5 jackets. That is something that you could retarget on our surfaces that will get a high action rate. But ColourPop is kind of the reverse, where you can look at 30 different things because they have 100 SKUs on their site.
Yeah.
And so you might need to go to 5 items to actually trigger a high intent moment. So one is 5. So they're kind of the two ends of the spectrum.
That's cool. At what point in a brand's growth journey does it make sense to really start digging into this data, leveraging something like a Checkmate? You have to have enough data to make this work, right? If you're only getting a couple conversions a day, you're probably not getting enough data to do all the personalization stuff. Or maybe I'm wrong, but at what point should brands really start considering how they look at this data and how they trigger these actions?
Yeah, so we're collecting data and we're trying to find more ways to add value back to the brand. So some interesting dissection of I guess information and data is how do you change your marketing? So ColourPop, for example, we figured out that, as in with the brand, we all collectively figured out darker shades of eyeshadow sold better to older demographics. More poppy colors and things like that sold better to younger demographics, but they were marketing color palettes the same. And so the there, which is how do you use data, is cool, we can take influencers and we can make a custom set to a performance ad on social media for a higher and lower demographic. We can do blue shades versus pink shades. And so that's a way of how do you kind of use the data. So I hope that's a concrete example.
No, that was perfect. And it segues perfectly into who's actually now building that out, right? So, all right, darker shades for old. Now I need creative. We need copy. We need a retargeting campaign. We need an email to go out, an SMS.
Yeah.
Whoa, you just made me do 9 other pieces. And now we realize that light shades are so now I have all these spokes,
Yes.
right? So someone has to create that content,
Yep.
those flows, all of that. How does that play into it? How do you see the brands best executing against that?
Yeah, so we have Checkmate Network, which is our set and forget product. That is where you don't need a marketer buy-in. We don't need someone on your team to say, yes, we want to use Checkmate, and we will essentially superpower our, email and SMS and all things like that. So that is where we do the self-identification, we do the targeting, and we do it on our own surfaces. So that is the set and forget. The more embedded solution is this, like we have a dashboard on Shopify or any CMS like Magento and things like that, where we package data up, where we enable brand managers, whether that's lifecycle performance or, director of e-com, they can make better decisions. So I would say we have a light and a pro, and our pro is only really touching the surface. Like for Lineage, we've been around for about 2.5 years. And so we're still trying to make our data products better. But I think it's really like to the earlier point, brands need to start thinking about owning data because they're getting, really hurt by, big tech. And so how can you own that and then use it? We're hopefully providing the piping to do that. So that's Checkmate Audiences is our pro, where we give you the ability to own and control data, and then we'll work with you because we're still figuring it out. Like, what do you actually find interesting? So, yeah.
That's great. I love that you're able to help brands with that execution. That's the hardest part is, right? Again, we talked about it. We have the data. Now we have to execute against the data to actually make this work. So the first part of our conversation really stemmed on the data, what to do with the data. The second part is I want to talk about discounts because that is a piece of it. And you have brands that are like, well, I don't want to give up more margin. I don't want to do more discounts. We gave them 15% off when they gave us an email on the website. Like, do we have to give them, like, how do you think about discounts? And with the data and with personalization, how can we create smarter discounts to actually help our business goals?
Yeah, so that's a big learning. Personalization is key for all this. So even though Checkmate is associated to offers, which are discounts, we're actually anti-discounts because the Welcome 10s, the Summer 20s, they're just generic. They're not targeting the right person at the right time. And so brands are giving away margin that they shouldn't otherwise give out. What we found is using your name in a single-use expiring offer creates urgency, but it also creates delight through positive experiences. Yeah. So when we work with brands, we're not asking for more offers. We actually think you should do less offers, use them in a smarter manner. And so that is around the intent moments, which is, would they otherwise have converted without the discount? And so we're proving that via expanding that consideration window, which we went through, that's like off surface. So that becomes like a big part of offers because, there's a lot of studies out there that like free shipping, return policies, and like discounts. Discounts fit at the top of that consideration list. Yeah. And so, to kind of name drop, Tim Kendall is one of our investors. He was the president of Pinterest for, 6-7 years. And why Pinterest built a CPM and a CPC model is because they weren't effective at really that consideration phase. And that largely is, is there a sale? And so we really think about Checkmate helping with that consideration or curation to consideration. Yeah. And so that's how we can be smarter with offers.
So on the consideration side, how heavy does discount weigh in the purchasing factor from a shopper from what you guys have seen?
Yeah, I mean, we're doing 36% card uplift across the board. And so
discounts still work is what you're saying.
Like much.
as much as brands want to be like, I don't want a discount, they still work.
Yeah, I mean, if you talk to anyone who is well off or affluent or anyone that's not doing so well, everyone loves a sale. Like, I don't think sales are going away. So using them in a smarter manner, it seems like the future. So, yes, people love a deal.
So one of the things we do at Grommet that we were talking a little before we got on camera is these single-use expiring discount codes. And you were just talking about it like, Greg's 10% or whatever the code is that's specific to Greg or, to Harry or to whoever it is. I want to talk about the value of that, especially with sentiment right now around these, your honeys and like everything that's going on in that world where people are sharing discounts, the attribution's not there. These single-use codes are really, really important. So at least that's how we believe it. I want to kind of get your thoughts on that and how brands kind of like that aspect of the discount.
Yeah, I mean, it's very topical at the moment with attribution, and that was something that we really came into the affiliate world. I historically did not come from the affiliate side. I came from the tech side. And so affiliate is like a new muscle we've had to flex, but we've learned a lot in this space in a couple of years. And so attribution being the biggest, honestly, it's incrementality.
Yeah.
And so the way that the system is built today with networks and brands, like multi-touch attribution should exist. It doesn't exist in a great way. Codes can provide a great avenue and vehicle. So when we think about how we can use single-use codes, we even think about going deeper with like influencers. We've created instant links, which is you can associate, call it like Aloe Yoga / Kendall Jenner, where every time she gives out a code, we could generate a single-use Kendall code that you can get perfect attribution for an influencer. That's an example of using attribution and single-use offers that they're already going to give the Kendall 20 code, but then it gets picked up by scrapers and all these other things, and it's not truly incremental. So you want to measure and test channels. That's what marketers should always do.
Yeah.
And so this is a vehicle to do it. And as we mentioned, I don't think offers are going away. Influencers are getting codes, but they're not used in a smart manner. So we want to start empowering that. Our V1 is using it on our channels. V2 is going deeper.
That's awesome, man. I love that. And I love, again, it's again, empowering the brands. It's giving them data to make smarter decisions about which influencers are actually working. Where's the attribution coming from? Another thing that you guys are doing to really empower brands with their data is Checkmate audiences. Yes. So love you. Tell me a little bit about that and why was that a product that you guys wanted to bring out?
Yeah, again, like a lot of this information, it's just disappeared. So really like the ColourPop example around demographics, competitive information, like there's just so much brands don't know. Like when we think about identity, getting to a brand's website and landing on it, people don't know who they are. Like they don't know how old they are, male, female, or like any gender. And so it's just like a way that we can start giving back because we are collecting first party data. So our audience tool is at its infancy, but we can really, help brands understand which send times are better. How does that stack up? What, SKUs are performing at a better rate or capacity? Are there, an example, we work with a digital retailer and they sell phones and computers. The phones they sell a completely different audience to the computers they sell. So that's an example of using demographic and age data to like really start powering their marketing. So that's Checkmate audiences.
That's really cool. What data is underutilized from a brand side? So they're collecting this data, you're helping them to collect this data. What do you think they're underutilizing? Like what's like the superpower? You're like, man, if all of my brands would just do this, what's the underutilized piece of data?
I mean, it's a little alarming. I don't want to, this is not to every brand, but I don't think any brand is using their own CRM data, their own SKU data to a great extent. I think that is the lowest hanging fruit. Everything that we talk about is incremental data around first party attributes, around customer segments and cohorts, I think is additive. Just getting a handle, and we repackage performing SKUs, time periods of like SKUs and things like that, I think becomes really impactful. So I would say like even just V1 for us is helping brands understand, like my two co-founders are data scientists and have their masters in machine learning. So like our bread and butter is data. That is not necessarily true of what we call our like ICP or ideal customer profile. We work with brands from like 10 million GMV to hundreds, but call it 50 mil. That's like potentially like a 10 to 50 person company.
Yeah,
they don't have data scientists.
Like, so I'm saying, so it's like it's almost a resource thing. Like they don't have the resources in house to understand and leverage the data.
Yeah, and so I think like that is a really really big opportunity to just get a handle on it, because the more and more we look to the future, like everything's becoming performance marketing ROI. Like when I was at college, like what marketing meant was like brand, how do you create like, a poster? That is completely shifted. It is all like, CAC, LTV, like it is very technical. So just getting a handle on base data, I think is like the lowest hanging fruit, and then it's all, additive.
So we've talked a lot about getting the conversion, right? And showing the right offer to the right person at the right time on the conversion side. What about once we get the customer? What are some things that you're seeing really smart brands do with data from their customers that's either generating more LTV or just learnings that they can dump back into their ad spend or what they're doing? Yeah. What are you seeing on the customer side from a brand?
Yeah, so we think about the brand circle more as a flywheel than a funnel. And so Checkmate, we try and create touch points for positive interactions. It's really to help ignite that journey. So package tracking, for instance, is a great high intent moment that we can restart a shopping journey by providing complementary products. So, really additive journeys that you buy shoes, get socks. Like, I think from a consumer, like, especially with like AI and LLMs and things, like getting recommendations is becoming more important, and it's becoming more like table stakes, and people want to see more content around it. So, I think there is, trying to, for brands, get higher AOVs by upselling cart sizes, by, incentivizing offers for like these purchases. So one positive journey into another positive journey, and then maximizing essentially like other positive touch points. So it seems kind of like brand positive, but I do think it's consumer positive because it follows the natural cycle of I've just ordered something, where's my next thing? Like, when's it going to come? And so I think just becoming a part of that journey in a more seamless manner is why we started Checkmate to be that shopping assistant, which touches you through the start to end.
Man, that's so powerful. Again, I think so many brands do a great job of that, but some of them are just like throwing stuff out there. Like, oh, like maybe it is just socks, but what kind of socks? What, is it a bundle of socks? Like learning all of that data so you present the right, upsells, cross sells, follow-up emails. Like, so it's not just one flow for all shoppers.
I mean, a lot of it is like consumer behavior. Like, I think the impetus or like the way that we started Checkmate started from a very innocent place. It was COVID where I used to wear with Converse shoes, I would run through them every 4 months. I would just absolutely wreck them. And Converse would always send me single-use codes to my inbox. I would never know when I got them. So that was the first product we built, which was just a tool to help us save more because it was COVID, everything's expensive. I was living in the Bay Area. It was, a time that we wanted to save. And so just getting notified that I had a single-use code because I would always find out at the wrong time. Like, that was like behavior where it was helpful as a consumer just to get that information at my fingertips. So that was like the first part of the journey that we started solving.
Yeah.
And then it became this whole treasure trove of data, identity, consumer flows, shopping assistant.
So let's have some fun. Let's journey out 5 years into the future, which is crazy because like in 6 months, everything can change. But what does personalization in shopping look like? Like, what's your vision for personalization in shopping maybe 5 years down the road?
Yeah, so I think consumer behavior's changed. I grew up in a Facebook era, and so this is a roundabout way of answering it, but I play football, and on my football team, I'm the last wave of recruits through Facebook. We find it really hard to get new recruits to the football team because it's not the community that everyone goes to.
Right.
And so what I'm saying is like the way consumers behave, especially younger generations, is decentralized. So personalization in the future of shopping is wherever the consumer is. And so that's why at Checkmate, we've started partnering with like Today's Show, type audiences and like the Joys and Zolas of the world, because for those different communities, that is when they're thinking about that type of purchase.
Yep.
For, a wedding registry, it's very seamless to like have that because that's a part of it. But there's no centralized like Facebook of that. So personalization has to happen everywhere at the channel that is a part of your community.
Yeah, fragmentation, segmentation is just, it's happening everywhere.
Correct, for sure.
So love that. All right, let's do some rapid fire. The boost round presented by Giddy Up. What is the biggest mistake that brands make when trying to optimize for conversions?
I think honestly not adopting offers in a smarter way. I think like we get this negative connotation around deals, but just be smarter. Use data.
I love that. 2024, we saw some dips. Q4 was pretty good. Give me your hot take. Is 25 going to be a full bounce back year for e-com?
It's booming. Yeah, retail media is like, I'm hearing it everywhere at ASW, so it's big.
I think you might have answered this already, but I'll ask again. What's one underutilized data point that brands should be paying attention to?
I mean, just go yourself and then add from there. So own data is big.
All right, putting you on the spot. Email, SMS, on-site pop-ups. Can only choose one. What are you doing?
On-site pop-ups, I think are really, really additive. Probably stack rank on-site, SMS, email. They're like the highest converting channels.
You can't go wrong, right? And you should use them all. It's and.
Yeah.
Who's maybe one person, a company, maybe it's a newsletter, someone on X, LinkedIn you follow that just has their beat on the pulse right now of what's happening in e-commerce?
Yeah, I mean, Bob Glazier's a great person. He runs Acceleration Partners. I like his content. Obviously, your content is top-notch, so I think they're really, really good people. The other things I like to look to, like TechCrunch, I think like that is really where you can see like a lot of emerging trends. So, AI is systemic. Other places, it's going to roll into our space. So I like to get my info both from affiliate world, e-com world, and tech world.
It's a good way to get a good, nice balance. Where can people find you? Where can they learn more about Checkmate?
Yeah, my email is harry@joincheckmate. Find me on LinkedIn. But yeah, that's it. Joincheckmate.com.
I love that. JoinCheckmate.com. We'll have all of that info in the description and in the show notes, all of that good stuff. Make sure you guys check it out. If you enjoyed this conversation, the best thing you could do is let him know. Check out Checkmate. Leave comments on all the cool places. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of The Boost. Thanks for joining me, man.
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate your time.
See you guys in the next one.